Welcome to What's Going On with Lady D today. I'm your host, Lady D. Well, welcome to What's Going On with Lady D today. And I'm your host, Lady D. Today, we have an exciting episode with Nikisha Johnson. She is the co-founder of the Elite Travel Company. And I am thrilled. I am so thrilled to have her because she's not only opening doors to higher education, but she's also helping parents and students experience the HBCU firsthand. So that is just truly awesome. So let's go ahead and dive on in with Nikisha Johnson. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. I want to start off. I want to ask you, tell us about yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well,
Because I know it so much, but give us the tea on who Nikisha Johnson
who is
is.
Lakeisha Johnson? Well, I am. Let's see. Where should we start? Born and raised in Cleveland. Born in Cleveland, raised in Cleveland Heights. So I graduated from Cleveland Heights High School, and I credit my experience coming up in Cleveland Heights on how I arrived at where I am today. But I am a mother of a 13-year-old athlete. Let's see what else. And the owner, like you said, of the Elite Travel, and also a founder of Elite Travel.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. So tell us, what inspired you to start this business?
Well, about almost 4 years ago, one of my really good friends took a trip to Africa, and it was kind of at a weird time. We were in the midst of a pandemic.
Okay, yeah, I do. I remember.
And one day he started vlogging his journey while he was in Egypt, and it was like watching a series. And I saw some of the most beautiful pictures and videos, and the experience wasn't anything that I was familiar with or that I had ever seen before. And like me, hundreds of his followers were also tuned in, and we were watching his journey. And it was his first time there, and he instantly was inspired to return back. While he was there, he was inspired to return back and bring as many people that wanted to come and experience the journey with him.
Okay.
So he reached out to me, and we started planning a trip to Egypt for the following year. And just because of my background and my, experience with just being, someone who organizes everything, every detail of my life, and other events that I've done, and then having a background in management for so many years, I wanted to make sure that we did a great service to the people. So we started planning a trip to Egypt for the following year, and we received an overwhelming response from people that wanted to travel, even though we were in this pandemic.
Right.
So we had about, at the time, 30 seats because we were traveling during COVID. And I probably had maybe over 100 people that wanted to come. So we started our journey, creating the Elite Travel and putting together this trip to Africa. So the trip was a success. It ended up being a total of 28 of us all together.
Okay.
You know how when you start planning a trip, there's like 100 people by the time you
Right,
get ready to depart.
right.
But it was still a really, really great turnout and a great trip. And it was my very first time planning the trip, number one. It was my first time traveling abroad. I had never been, overseas before. I had traveled a lot, but never overseas. It was my first time flying for as long as we flew. I
How
think our
long?
flight was 12 hours.
Okay.
Total flying time was 19 hours. So I had
Wow.
a lot of anxiety. And it was going to be my first time taking a cruise because I had planned a 4-day cruise up the Nile River while we were there.
Oh
And we
my.
were supposed to be there for, our plan was we had a 9-day itinerary that I planned. And myself and my partner, we planned it together. Like we literally went day by day. These are the things that we want to do. These are the things that we want to experience. And I knew that I had to be a part of it, so I had to get over my own fears because I wanted to experience, this journey. But I also wanted to ensure that every single guest, had the same, experience that my partner had, when he traveled there.
Right.
So, long story short, we ended up going, and it was to this day one of the best, most memorable experiences I could ever even imagine.
Wow.
Would be my trip to Egypt. And from there, we just started, adding more trips, adding more services, and I'm sure we'll get to our youth trips
Yeah.
shortly
Yes.
because that's where I found my passion
Okay.
for this adventure that I'm on.
Now, may I ask you, you spoke of your fears. What was your fear being over? Was it the flight or
Yeah.
the language? And well, yeah, what is
Yeah.
the language they speak?
Well, Egypt is first and foremost. A lot of people don't realize that Egypt is in Africa, and it's about 90% Muslim
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So a lot of people they don't know that. So when you're going to Egypt, you're actually going to experience, a different culture, a different environment. Um, they speak Arabic, but English also. So
Okay.
when we put together the trip, we definitely wanted to ensure that we had an English speaking tour agency that we ended up partnering with to
Great.
organize all of
Great.
our group trips to Egypt. So we established the Elite Travel Company with the goal to plan these beautiful itineraries to Africa. And we opened up or started a partnership, I should say, while we were there with a tour agency in Egypt to make our travel even more seamless and amazing and the same experience, if not better, each time we go. So some of the fears that I had was definitely flying. I couldn't even imagine being on a plane. My longest flight was like 4 hours. And, knowing that we were going to be flying for like 19 hours, we had a layover. And so total flying time was like 19 hours. And I
Wow.
remember Googling how many, how many pilots are on a 19-hour flight. I can only imagine that there's like 20.
Right. Right.
And they're like, no,
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 not
not at all.
the same two.
Yeah,
Or
I believe so. I
flew the
believe
whole trip.
maybe 3.
Okay.
But
That's a
yeah, because
long
it's a
time to
very
be
long
up in
flight.
the friendly skies.
But let me tell you, when you step out on faith and you operate from a pure heart,
Yeah.
man, everything just opens up. The flight was one of my best parts.
Okay.
It ended up being like one of my best parts. They fed us so good. I don't think I felt any turbulence. It was like a smooth flight. It was a large plane.
Yeah.
We were able to play games with the other passengers that were on the flight. We played Monopoly. We listened to music. We watched movies. And when I tell you, like I said, the food, 3 times a day, every time I tried to doze off, they were waking me up for another meal.
Wow,
It
that's
was
so
really good.
exciting. So it's going to be really nice when you get ready to go again because I know that trip is coming up again and we'll get there. But now let's talk about how do you select which HBCUs that you visit with the students?
So, and I'm glad you brought that up because one of the services that we offer are college tours, specifically to historically Black colleges and universities. Um, Part of my plan, my planning process is exposure. So when I am curating our trips, it's going to be some education, it's going to be some culture in there. The focus is African history and culture with the trips that I plan. So
Okay.
with the trips to the HBCUs, I'm looking for exposure. I want to expose students to travel, expose them to college campuses, but most importantly, like I said, our focus are all Black colleges and universities. And I want to give students a variety. So we're going to visit some of the most prestigious HBCUs, some of the larger, most popular campuses, but we're also going to take you to some of the smaller campuses. The requirements are not, as tough to get into the schools.
Right.
The campuses are maybe a little bit more laid back, so you get a variety when you
Right.
come.
Right.
But I also have to keep in mind price,
Right.
and the amount of time that we have. Our tours range from 4 days to 6 days. And for our 4 day trips, we have to kind of look at a route that will allow us to visit as many HBCUs without overwhelming our participants.
Right.
And then when we have our longer trips, which are usually 5 to 6 days, we can, we have some time to
Right.
really go all the way down to Tallahassee, Florida, and visit FAMU, which the students really like.
That's really cool. So just give us the names of some of the schools that you go to, because I know you have your northern and then you have your southern colleges that you attend. You take them to.
Yep. So over the past year, I've taken over 300 students to visit. I think we're at now maybe 28 campuses that we visited.
Nice.
So I may switch them up. I try to keep it consistent, and I try to put the information out there nice and early so students and families can prepare and plan. But we have 2 bus tours that we offer, and
Okay.
sometimes the dates are during the same week,
Okay.
and sometimes they may be a week or so apart. Offered once, maybe twice in a school year, but our southern bus is going to take students generally to North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, and then if it's a 4 day trip, we'll visit Tennessee, Nashville,
Okay.
Tennessee. So some of the schools: North Carolina A&T, Spelman, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse,
Yeah.
Morris Brown. We have visited Tennessee State University and Fisk University. If you're going to join our northern bus tour, then you get to visit schools in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and we also try to add Greensboro, North Carolina in there as well. So some of those schools: Howard University, Hampton University, Morgan State, Bowie State, Virginia State, if I didn't say Norfolk State University, and again, North Carolina A&T.
That is just truly amazing. So these students are really getting some great exposure. Because when we were coming along back in our day, nobody took us anywhere. You were on your own. Your parents were on their own. Now, do the parents attend? Do they go on these trips as well? Or is this just the students?
Yeah. So we've been a little flexible.
Okay.
We welcome parents, but we really want parents to come and chaperone. So you have an
Yes,
opportunity to be a chaperone.
Right.
We do get parents that are kind of like myself, which I call smother mothers, where they can't even imagine, their child going off, on a bus trip without them. And we've allowed them to come along, but my goal is to separate the students from the parents,
Okay. Yeah.
prepare them for what life is going to be like.
Yeah.
I want to give them a head start at really thinking about what they're going to do after high school.
Right.
And hopefully I can inspire them to choose a higher education, and, it'll just be, the cherry on top if they choose one of the HBCUs that we visit. But so parents, we're trying to kind of separate the students from the parent to allow them to make these decisions that they're going to have to make really soon on their own, or at least to start thinking about it.
Right.
So
What's the grade level?
9th through 12th.
Okay, so they can start as early as ninth grade. Now,
Yes.
tell me about one of your experiences. Share a story with us by taking the students there. Had anyone actually said, "This is the college I want to go to"?
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I would say, if I had to tell you right off the top of my head, we're at about a 90 to 95 attendance rate for the seniors that take our tours. Now, keep in mind, we have 9th through 12th graders that attend our tours. So a small percentage of our students are seniors. And the seniors that take our tours typically have, in many cases, they already have an idea as to what school they're interested in. You know, they have to make their decision. It's fast approaching. So I have student alumni that have taken our tours that are currently at multiple HBCU campuses.
Oh,
And
that's
we
cool.
connect with them
That's
when
cool.
we're touring the schools. And they'll come out and speak with the students, and they're very excited to be a part of our journey as we travel through these HBCUs as well. So that's very exciting. It brings a tear
That's
to
great.
my eyes.
So, what type of entertainment can the students look forward to on going on your trips? I know you talked about the educational part. Do they get a chance to meet the different professors and of the different courses?
So it varies.
Okay.
I'm 4 years into this,
Okay.
and I feel like an expert, but I still consider myself a baby
Right,
at
'cause
this
you're still
process.
learning.
Still learning, still growing, and I tell my families I'm as transparent as they'll come. I tell them we're building this as we fly. But at the same time, I feel that this exposure trip is needed in our community.
It is.
So with that need, I have to make sure that there's a lot of value in it, but at the same time, it's affordable. So it depends on how long we're going to be on the road will determine what we're able to actually, experience. We've gone ice skating during some of our tours, which
Okay.
has been so much fun.
Now, that's really nice.
Not only ice skating, but ice skating around the National Mall in DC, which is a very, very unique experience for many of our participants.
Yeah.
We've gone roller skating. We've reserved the entire Cascade family skating rink in Atlanta,
Okay.
which is a very iconic skating rink in Atlanta.
Wow.
So we've worked with the skating rink to kind of rent out the place for us and for our groups. So that's been really fun. We've held parties. I'll reserve the ballroom at one of our hotels, and we'll have music and food,
Wow.
and we'll kind of have a HBCU themed pajama party on some of our tours. So those are usually when we have a little bit more time to be on the road. For our 4-day trip, we still try to incorporate some type of museum.
Okay.
We've gone to the African American History Museum several
That's nice.
times,
Yeah.
and then we'll sightsee in DC.
Okay.
So it just varies. I try to have something exciting, something fun. I try to coordinate the African American History International Civil Rights Museum, the Martin Luther King Center. I try to tie the
Everything in.
museums into our tours, again, without overwhelming them.
Right.
They're getting a lot of information.
That's a beautiful, it's great exposure.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, you're taking them outside the box, and it's letting them know that there's something else besides just what they see right here in their neighborhood and their schools, and that they can do it. There's options for them, and they can get to, especially a ninth grader. Ninth and 10th graders, I would go just to be going for all the entertainment.
Lady D, you are so right. That is the purpose. The purpose is to provide this exposure trip, and especially for students who won't travel otherwise, give them the opportunity to dream, and to
Yes.
not only dream, but to see that this could be a reality.
Yes.
So that's absolutely. And a lot of the students that are coming through or that are going through high school now, they were affected by COVID. So those trips that were offered at one time
Right.
are no longer. I have several students that have taken my tours that didn't get a chance to go with their school during to DC during COVID. So a lot of trips were canceled and things like that because some of the schools do offer. We're working with a school district right now, and we're providing them with their travel arrangements for their exposure trips for their middle schools. So the HBCU bus tours we're a resource that
Okay.
is available in the community so that students will have the opportunity to get outside of their communities for a few days. And you're absolutely right. A lot of students, they don't have a clue what they're going to do after high school, but they come on our tours and it's more of a social experience. So now
Yes.
they're getting the education piece, they're
Right.
getting the exposure piece, but they're
Right.
also getting the social,
Yes.
piece that's needed as well.
Yes.
So I absolutely
Yes.
love it.
Yeah, yeah, I love what you're doing. Now, what is the dates tell us about the next tour that you have coming up. And if someone is interested in coming, how can they do this?
Absolutely. So we're getting ready to depart this month. We have two bus tours this month, but we're not booking for those anymore. We're literally getting ready to leave. But the next opportunity to join our HBCU bus tour is March 30th through April 2nd.
Okay.
And we currently have space available. Like I said, we always try to plan our trips months in advance so that families can have the opportunity to, be a part of the events that we hold prior to departing, but also to make it affordable so that they're not trying to figure out how they're going to make this type of expense work. So we have a lot of space available, but I am proud to announce that we have about 50 students and counting that are already reserved for our spring tour.
That's awesome. So you could actually just have you a couple of bus loads going.
Oh, we do.
You
We
do.
do.
You do.
And for spring is usually, so fall is probably the best time for students is at the beginning of the school year. But if you're a senior and you're really thinking about, I got to make a decision soon, it's
Right.
really great for that. But the spring tour is a time where, you have an opportunity to get a look at schools before you go out on summer break. And
Right.
even for seniors before you're kind of late if you take the spring tour, but you still have an opportunity, like that very last look. But
So all of this that you're offering, may I ask how much is this? What's the
tour.
cost?
That's
How
a
much
great
is the tour?
question.
How
So
much
the
is it?
tour for this school year is $800 per person. There's a
That's
$50 deposit. Yeah, that's a 4-day trip. Your transportation is included. Your hotel accommodations are included, and breakfast daily is provided. We have some options as far as food is concerned, but what I've learned about my experience with
Right.
our teenagers is that they want to eat what they want to eat.
Right.
So we struggle with that. But my plan is to always have them dine on campus at the colleges because
That's
you're going to
good.
get to taste the food, and there's
Yeah.
usually a variety of different things that you have to choose from at a very, very low cost. But we have a fundraiser. We run our fundraiser a few times throughout our planning process to give
Okay.
students an opportunity to kind of raise some money to help with the expenses. And we do offer payment plans.
That's
so we
good.
work with our families. We understand that, not everybody has $800.
Yes.
Our 6-day trips are a little bit more expensive. So this is why we kind of shortened the tour this school year to really give students, more students access
Right.
to this opportunity.
That's great. So if they want to reach you, what is your contact information?
Sure.
Okay, you want to give that out
Sure
to our
can.
listeners?
I sure can.
Okay.
www.theelitetravelco.com is our website. You can find out more information about all of our trips, including our HBCU bus tours, but you can also reserve your spot online at our website. Once again, that's www.theelitetravelco.com.
Excellent, excellent. Is there a phone number?
Sure. For those of you that would like to get in contact with me, to call me directly, 216-990-7676.
Excellent. And we'll give that number out again.
216-990-7676.
Excellent. Now I want to know, how much is the Egypt trip?
So our
Because
Egypt,
everybody's going to Egypt. Oh, I see on Facebook, and Kevin Show, he's got a group of folks going over to Egypt. So they're always going there, and that's someplace that my mother, that was on her bucket list. She never got a chance to, but she was just infatuated with the pyramids and all the Egyptology stuff.
and Lady D, do you know that Kevin Chill is a partner? When he's in
Okay.
Egypt, he's leading our groups to
Okay.
Egypt. I can't be everywhere.
Okay.
And I wish I could go on every single trip. Every single
Yes.
trip I just want to be a part of, and I want to buy a home there. But so for our Egypt package, I pride myself in the low cost. It's $3,800 per person,
Okay.
but for our students, it's $3,500, and that includes a 9-day itinerary. That includes your international flight, your hotel accommodations, breakfast daily, a 4-day Nile River cruise,
Wow.
admissions to all of our excursions and tours, which of course you have to see the pyramids. But it's a beautiful itinerary, and you can find it on our website as well.
This is truly amazing. Well, now you've just found out what's going on. And I do want to thank Nikisha Johnson for joining us and sharing all this valuable insight today. And if you like to learn more, please give her a call at 216-990-7676. And I am Lady D, and I want to thank you for joining us today. And I'll see you next week, same time, same place. I would ask that you would just be kind and take a student and give them some exposure. Don't have to be your child, but someone else. Share and enjoy life. Thanks for watching. Join us every Thursday, and you too can be a guest straight from KAZ Radio Podcast Studio.